Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Friday, September 6th. We close out this holiday-shortened week as investors await the latest jobs data this morning. Yesterday, during regular trading, markets were mixed. The Nasdaq was the day's only winner, ending higher by 43 points or 0.25%. The Dow gave up 219 points to end down more than 0.5%. The S&P 500 also finished the session in the red by 16 points or 0.3%. Bill, let's get into Friday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&P. The S&Ps are red. I mean, we're down 0.55%, more than 0.5% this morning. That's definitely not positive. We walk in today, the big event that everybody's waiting for is the non-farm payrolls release. That's the key one. That comes out an hour before the opening bell. Now, yesterday we had the ADP employment report. It was considered a little soft, and that's creating nervousness this morning ahead of the non-farm payroll release. So, there's a lot of caution in the air. You look at the market overall, and the sentiment is bearish. The anxiety over economic growth concerns is there, much like what we saw early in August. But it's not that it's a given; it's a fact. But the economic growth concerns are really on everybody's mind. On the earnings front, Broadcom delivered a beat last night, but the forward guidance was a little weak. That's a trend that you're seeing in these AI stocks. Another key event, Salesforce did a big buyout that was announced yesterday. Costco, they reported their August sales. They were up 5%, but the estimates were 5.1%, so slightly below estimates, but still, they are a juggernaut. I am kind of looking ahead to what's going on Monday. Monday, we got Apple's product release date for the new iPhones. That's going to be, a key event. Oracle's releasing earnings Monday afternoon. Tuesday, we get the presidential debate. Wednesday, we get the CPI data. Thursday, we get an ECB announcement where a rate cut is very likely. So, we got a lot to pay attention to in these markets today, but there's a lot of caution in the air. We're looking at overseas what's happening, and we're looking at in Germany, the DAX is down 83 points or 0.45%. You're looking at the FTSE down 14 points or 0.18%. The CAC is down 12 points, 0.16%. What can I say? In Germany, it was down more. The European exchanges were down harder earlier on. They've since come back a little bit, but Germany had weak production data, industrial production data. The data came in at negative 2.4 versus the estimates of a drop of minus 0.3. So that's kind of a big drop. For the week, the DAX looks like it's going to be down 2.5%. London, you see London weakening. It's not down significantly. It's down 0.18%, but for the week, you're looking for a 2% loss. France, as I said, stock's down. The index is down 0.16%. Their industrial production fell 0.5%. Expectations were for a 0.2% reading, but that index is on track for a loss of around 3% this week. So we've got to really be cautious there. We're turning our attention over to Asia. And what happened last night? We saw the Nikkei drop 265 points. That's 0.72%. There continuing weakness is seen in the tech stocks. The yen has moved to its highest level in a month. There's a pending rate hike from the BOJ, and rate hikes are typically weigh on your currency. That's what's happened in Japan. For the week, the Nikkei has fallen 5.84%. Well, Hong Kong was closed. They had a typhoon alert, so they didn't open overnight. But for the week, that index is down 3%. China, on the other hand, China lost 22 points at 0.81%. For the week, they're down 2.6%. They got those economic uncertainties that continue to weigh on the Chinese markets. There are rumors about a pending stimulus plan really focused on the property market. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition, but it's possible that could hit next week. Then we're keeping an eye on oil because oil is a big story. We're looking at oil this morning. Oil is, It's shifting higher. You got up about 0.5%. WTI is at $69.52 a barrel, under 70. Brent is at $73.05 a barrel. We're hovering around these 14 months lows. I mean, the demand is overshadowed by, that big, withdrawal from the U.S. Inventories, that stockpile report yesterday, and the delay of the output increases by OPEC. But for the week, oil is down 5%. So, we're really seeing some weakness there, and that is of concern. But we'll see if that's able to, finish the day at least on an uptick. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, as you know, we're trying to weather the caution in the air and the anticipation of today's non-farms payroll report, which everyone has their eyes on. We both mentioned it. How do you manage, this looking for opportunities? And you're doing that because you have NewsWare. We can hear in your opening, you're keeping track of all of the different elements that could be affecting today's market and even looking ahead, as you said, a preview to next week, Monday and next week. But we're going to take a look here first at earnings action and get through more details on the day. You did mention a few earnings there, Bill, but let's get into it. What is going on in terms of earnings action?
Just run through it. Smart Street, ticker SMAR, Sam Michael Apple Richard, they beat by 15 cents on higher revenue. You look at the stock, it's up 3.75% this morning. DocuSign, ticker DOCU, David Oscar Charlie Uncle, they beat by 17 cents on higher revenue. Guidewire Software, GWRE, Grace William Richard Edward, they beat by 8 cents on higher revenue. That stock's trading higher by 8%. And then, in Broadcom, ticker AVGO, Apple Victor Grace Oscar, they beat by 2 cents on higher revenue. Then on Monday afternoon, we got Oracle's earnings coming out. Their EPS is $1.32. Expected move is about 8.21%. Stock's trading a little lower this morning. I've never been able to really, find that the data inputs ahead of earnings from certain companies such as Oracle don't always work. This is a weird one. So I don't trade Oracle, but they are expected to come in with an EPS of $1.32 and a move of 8.21% when they release Monday after the bell, Emily.
And now we're getting to the day's economic events. Of course, that non-farms payroll is the one everyone is watching here this morning, but there's still other stuff to be keeping track of, including some Fed speak. So, Bill, give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Yeah, we got a lot going on here today. I mean, 8:30 a.m., 1 hour before the opening bell, we get the non-farms payroll report coming out. Now, the estimates are ranging from plus 160 to plus 175,000 new jobs for August. Remember, July data was extremely weak. It came in at 114. June data was more normalized. It was plus 179. May's figures were very normal, plus 216, 216. The average for the year is plus 203. So, anything under 203 would be considered light, but I would think that anything above 160 would be positive. We're looking at Fed speak. What I find interesting is, New York Fed Bank President John Williams is speaking today at 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes after the non-farms payroll report. Watch him pepper some positive comments on the market because they don't want the markets to fall apart. At 11 a.m., we're going to hear from Fed Governor Christopher Waller. He also will probably be lightly in suit. They're going to be talking about employment data. They're going to be talking about, pending monetary policy changes. And of course, next week we got an ECB meeting where they're going to be cutting rates. So we're going to see if we're going to get 50 or 25 basis points. And a lot of that depends on this non-farms payroll report that's coming out today. But that's what I have for you in terms of economic reports, Emily.
And again, it goes without saying, Bill, that you're keeping track of this using your NewsWare. You're going to be able to see that data come out as soon as it hits the tape because you're having economic alert. You're also watching that Fed speak using your NewsWare. You also use your NewsWare to follow other types of data and information, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts. You're able to group stocks together like your FANG stocks or your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Okay, I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 24 lower, but I have 4 higher, and the rest are unchanged on the day. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. We're down across the board. Everything's down, 0.3% to 9/10%. So, we're going to have we really do look like we're going to have a weakening opening. I saw the S&Ps. They have started to come back a little bit. They were down further, but we're still down 0.5%. So we'll have to wait and see if we're able to get a bounce back today. But we're talking about the news that's hitting the tape this morning. The big thing that I got to keep reminding you is the iPhone product release that's set for Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Now, normally you buy the stock in front of the product release, and then you sell it right before the release because buy the rumor, sell the news. I don't know. I'm real cautious on this one. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think there will be some pockets of opportunity in Apple over the next 24 hours of trading today and Monday morning. Google, UK regulators feel good. Google is being anti-competitive in its ad technology and feels that it could be harming thousands of UK advertisers and publishers. We're looking at Google down 0.3% this morning. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we're talking Salesforce.com, ticker CRM, Charlie Richard Mary stocks down 0.25% this morning. They're going to be requiring, a company known as Own Company for $1.9 billion. Intel, ticker INTC, one of the few stocks that's up this morning. It's up 0.2%. They're said to be exploring sales of its part of its stake in Mobileye, MBLY. So that kind of interesting news. Moving on into mergers, we got to talk about the U.S. Steel. Okay, Cleveland Cliffs, ticker CLF, Charlie Larry Frank. They're open to buying U.S. Steel assets if Nippon deal sinks. If that deal falls through because of the presidential veto or something, Cleveland Cliffs will walk in there and they will just grab these assets at a really discounted price. But we'll have to wait and see if that happens or not. I think that the Nippon deal still makes sense. It's a friendly nation. Number one, number two. That they're planning to invest in it. That's good. I kind of like the deal. I don't think that I think this is just political rhetoric to kind of show that you're you want to say you're for America. Well, America's about business, and this could be good business. Okay, let's talk guidance. Let's talk Smartsheet, ticker SMAR, Sam, Michael, Apple, Richard. Okay, they see Q3 EPS coming in 29 cents to 31 cents, street estimates 29 cents. Okay. A Guidewire, ticker GWRE. They see Q1 revenue coming in $2.51 to 257 million, 251 million to 257 million. The street estimate had it at 236.1 million. That's a big uptick. Broadcom, ticker AVGO. This is the issue. They came in. They see Q4 revenue coming in at approximately 14 billion. Now it's plus or minus, and the street estimate has 14.13 billion. It's okay. It's not horrible. I wouldn't run away from it just because of that. DocuSign, ticker DOCU, David Oscar Charlie Uncle. They see Q3 revenue coming in 743 million to 747 million. Street estimate at 739.43 million. That's a big uptick. DocuSign, DOCU trading higher by 0.5% this morning. Talking meetings going on this morning. Bristol Myers, ticker BMY. Boy, Michael Yellow, they're doing a presentation today at the Wells Fargo Health Conference. Roadblocks, RBLX, Richard Boy, Larry X-Ray. They're having their developers conference today. Could be something there. Keep an eye on Roadblocks, RBLX. And Quest Diagnostics, DGX, David, Grace, X-Ray. They're presenting today at the Morgan Stanley Healthcare Conference. Healthcare is always a good place to hide out in terms of market weakness. Remember that. Healthcare and market weakness, good place to hide. In terms of buyback news, we got Rockwell Automation, ticker ROK, Richard Oscar Kilo. Their board approved a 1 billion share buyback. That's positive, ticker ROK. Helen of Troy, ticker HELE, Henry, Edward, Larry, Edward. They announced a 500 million share repurchasing plan. UiPath, ticker PATH, they announced a 500 million expansion of the stock buyback plan. That's positive. In terms of catalyst calls, Corning, ticker GLW, Grace, Larry, William, Citibank opened up a 90-day positive catalyst watch on Corning going into an investors event. Something to keep an eye on. Ticker GLW could have some stock appreciation over the next 90 days. But that's what I have for you in terms of market moving events today, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show. for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, tricky to make a pick today ahead of this non-farm payrolls report, ahead of market open. See of red out there, caution in the air, but you're going to look for opportunities. So what is your pick of the day today?
Yeah, you're right. It's really hard to do a pick today because you are expecting market weakness this morning. But in case we don't have it, we could have some opportunities here. I do like some of the healthcare names. I do think, especially if there's a sell-off. Can you imagine getting into something like Lilly at 875, and if it starts seeing pressure, that would be a huge positive action. But today, I'm going to go with AMD, Apple Michael David. And I know the semiconductors, nobody wants to touch them. Everybody's scared of them. But the point is the CEO, Lisa Su, she's going to be making a presentation on Monday at the Goldman Sachs Tech Conference. I like that. She's a really smart lady. She puts on a great presentation. And I could see the stock start to, bounce Monday morning. So I'm kind of planning for a bounce on Monday morning. I can't say where I'm going to get in because a lot of it depends on the non-farms payroll report. If the market sells off on it, I maybe 34. We'll have to wait and see. But I do think we're going to easily be able to get a bounce. On that stock, 134, I should say. But I do think we'll be able to get a bounce on that one when on Monday morning because I think she's going to start speaking. And I think the market's going to like to hear what she has to say. You're looking at yesterday's call volume. 157,997 versus 124,513. That's positive. Open interest, I would expect it to be negative, and it is. 1,487,725 versus 1,507,952. Okay, that doesn't scare me off. Brokers are still positive. They do still like the stock. But this entry point, this is the key. You got to get in at a good entry point, and honestly, hard to say what that entry point is. I mean, you're looking at the stock trade 137.70, 137.80. A weak market after the NARMS payroll report could cause the stock to drop $3. So 134.70 might be a good entry point. But if the market bounces on it, you could maybe ride that wave during the day today. AMD could populate from there. So I can't say an entry point. It depends on this action that's going to be happening at 8:30 this morning, Emily. But that's what I have for you in terms of a pick for today, Emily.
AMD it is today. We will follow that along with you, looking for some weakness. Not exactly sure what point right now, but some weakness and hoping for a bounce on Monday with that conference. All good strategy there. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day before we sign off for the weekend, so stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
We got to talk about Fastenal, ticker FASAT, at Frank Apple Sam Tom. This is an important one because it's kind of like a view of how the industrial economy is really shaping up. Their net sales for August were down 2.3%. That's not positive. That shows weakness in manufacturing. But we can also see that from the latest PMI data that has recently come out. NASDAQ announces a new structure for financial crime management technology. What else do we see here? GlaxoSmithKline Beckham, ticker GSK, they announced phase 3 trial met primary endpoints. That's positive. Bank of America examines insider trading claim. Okay, did it go on? We'll see. Caterpillar's CEO was on TV last night saying we're benefiting from the diversity of our end markets. Okay. Build-A-Bear, BBW, Boy William, they announced an exclusive multi-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think DraftKings, DKNG, remember, that stock is going to start moving a little higher as we get into the start of NFL football season. Costco, ticker COSC, as I said earlier, their sales were up 5.4%. Street wanted it just slightly higher. Let's see what else we got here. Cleveland Cliffs, remain a potential suitor for U.S. Steel. Qualcomm has explored acquiring pieces of Intel's chip design business, sources say. Dutch government said it would expand the export licensing requirements for some of ASML's chip making equipment. That's kind of positive. Tower Semiconductor, the Israeli company, and Adani Group will invest $10 billion for a semiconductor project in India's western state. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, before we sign off here, Bill, get to trading on this Friday. Let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Broadcom. You did give us a look at the stock during your earnings report. They did report above consensus fiscal Q3 results due to a strength in its AI business and VMware. As you told us, Broadcom reported an adjusted earnings of $1.24 a share. That was 2 cents ahead of analyst expectations of $1.22. Revenue jumped 47% to $13.07 billion, topping projections for $12.98 billion. Now, during your NewsWare alerts breakdown, you did give us that note about slowing sales in their guidance just ever so slightly. They also did guide a Q4 gross margin lower, as well as it ramps up its AI accelerator business. So, investors being a little picky about this. And as you mentioned, sort of across the board in these AI stocks, you were trading this one ahead of yesterday. I did see, even though it was down this morning, a few price target bumps on the stock still. But how did your call work out?
I mean, you looked at the trading action yesterday, and it really was positive. I mean, the stock opened up at 150 and 56 cents, and that was weak. So, that was your opportunity because the event hasn't happened yet, so there was positive momentum that would run into earnings, and it did. It actually ran up to 159.36, $159.36. So 150 to 159, that easily beats the 1%. Listen, the opportunity was there yesterday. Grab the 1%, walk away. Stock closed at 152.82. I traded a little bit in the aftermarket as well. I made a little money. I was happy. But, after the earnings announcement, they're weak guidance. And that's what you're seeing a lot of with these AI companies is, the guidance is never going to live up to the street expectations. So, you don't want to be trading it into the event, not after the event, because after the event, if that guidance doesn't exceed the Wall Street's expectations, they're going to sell it. And that's what we saw exactly with Broadcom and some of these other tech stocks. So I was very happy with my 1% gain yesterday. Got it, walked away, called it a day, and life was good yesterday, Emily.
Taking that green when you see it, Bill, and we will check in with you on Monday about today's AMD pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here Monday and each weekday morning next week at NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.